Three private companies are racing to be the first to land a commercial spacecraft on the moon with no passengers, no crew. But it'll happen this spring if all goes according to plan. One of them is already in the air. But private companies arriving on the lunar surface raises questions about the legal framework for private space exploration and use of lunar resources. Tom Standage is author of Which Firm Will Win the New Moon Race, a recent article in The Economist magazine. He joins us. Hi, Tom.
Hello, good to be here.
So who are these companies trying to land on the moon this year, and why are they doing it?
One of them is a Japanese company called iSpace, and its mission, called Hakuto R, is actually already on its way. It launched in December, but it's taking a rather roundabout way of getting to the moon, if you can believe it. And then there are two American companies called Intuitive Machines and Astrobotic, and they are both hoping to launch in the next few months.
Getting to the moon requires money. What's the market incentive to go there?
So the American ones, they are funded under a NASA program called CLPS, which stands for Commercial Lunar Payload Services. So rather than building a whole load of its own probes, its own landers, it is essentially saying, we would like to send stuff to the moon. Who would build a lander? And then whoever builds the lander buys a launch service from a company like SpaceX or someone else. There's an open market in that. So essentially, there is this sort of buy a slot on a machine. And so NASA has seeded the market for these two American landers by saying, we will buy this many slots, this much payload mass on your landers. They then put together this whole mission where they build the lander with the money they've taken from NASA, but they also take money from other people who want to send stuff to the moon. And they then put together this mission. So the idea is that we're starting to move to more of a sort of marketplace in lunar landing services.
So these companies are basically taking stuff to the moon. That's how they're making money or hope to make money. How far away are we, do you think, from extracting economic value from the moon?
So there's clearly a commercial market in sending stuff into orbit, and that's because there's lots of things you can do in orbit that actually make sense. You can put up satellites to do things like broadcast radio and TV, or internet like SpaceX does with Starlink. There's useful things you can do in orbit that you can make money from. It's not at all clear what you can make money from by sending stuff to the moon, because legally, even if there was like bars of gold lying around on the moon, it's not clear what the legal situation is with bringing resources back or even using resources in situ. So in theory, there could be a commercial market in the future for things like tourism, but we still have this big gray area.
There is this thing called the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, basically says no country can claim sovereignty over the moon. But what about companies or companies, backed by governments?
We don't really know. And so America is trying to sort of update this and has this new set, the Artemis Accords, which is an attempt to update things so that you can start to exploit resources. But the trouble is that the Artemis Accords have been rejected by China and Russia. And then there's a rival thing that was set up in the 1980s by a whole load of other countries, but America refused to sign that one. So that's the challenge, that there isn't a sort of prevailing legal theory.
Tom Standage is a deputy editor at The Economist and is the author of Which Firm Will Win the Moon Race. Tom, thank you so much.
Thank you.